Ralph Lauren didn't become a billionaire by selling clothes. He became one by selling a world people desperately wanted to belong to. Today, the Ralph Lauren empire is valued at over $7 billion. But its foundation wasn't built on fabrics or factories alone. It was built on one of the most powerful assets in business: aspiration. Ralph Lauren didn't simply create fashion. He carefully crafted an entire lifestyle inspired by timeless elegance, Ivy League traditions, equestrian sports, and classic American luxury. What makes this story extraordinary is that Ralph wasn't born into any of that world. He imagined it. Then he convinced millions of people to imagine themselves living in it. This is the story of how a working-class kid from the Bronx built one of the greatest lifestyle brands in history and created a blueprint that would later inspire countless modern brands.
Long before the polo matches, country estates, and luxury boutiques, there was simply Ralph Lifshitz. Born in the Bronx in 1939 to Belarusian Jewish immigrant parents, Ralph grew up in a modest, working-class neighborhood. His childhood was filled with concrete streets, public schools, and ordinary city life. But while his surroundings were ordinary, his imagination wasn't. He admired the elegance of old American wealth, the confidence, refinement, and timeless style that seemed to belong to another world. Rather than accepting his circumstances as permanent, Ralph began shaping a different identity for himself. He even changed his last name from Lifshitz to Lauren, understanding something many entrepreneurs eventually discover: identity isn't always inherited. Sometimes it's intentionally created. In 1967, while working as a salesman, Ralph made his first bold move. At a time when men's fashion favored narrow and conservative neckties, he introduced wide, handmade silk ties with rich colors and distinctive designs. Most retailers rejected them. They believed no one would buy something so unconventional. But Ralph wasn't trying to follow the market. He was trying to redefine it. With little capital, he rented a single drawer inside a showroom in the Empire State Building and launched his collection under one simple name: Polo. Not because he played the sport, but because the name immediately evoked elegance, prestige, and international sophistication. Here lies an important business lesson. Products can be copied, but perception is much harder to imitate. Ralph Lauren's greatest insight wasn't about fashion. It was about human psychology. He understood that people rarely buy products for their practical function alone. They buy what those products say about who they are, or who they hope to become. Instead of advertising shirts, Ralph advertised a way of life. His campaigns featured sprawling estates, horse riding, sailing, libraries, vintage automobiles, and elegant family gatherings. The clothing became only one part of a much larger story. Customers weren't simply purchasing fabric. They were buying a ticket into an aspirational world of timeless sophistication. And once a brand sells identity instead of utility, it stops competing on price.
To make that world feel real, Ralph Lauren needed more than beautiful advertisements. He needed a physical experience. In 1986, he opened his flagship store inside Manhattan's historic Rhinelander mansion. The building wasn't designed like a department store. It felt like stepping inside the private residence of an old American family. Persian rugs, stone fireplaces, antique furniture, oil paintings, vintage leather luggage. Every detail reinforced the same message. You weren't simply shopping. You were temporarily living inside the Ralph Lauren world. This is what modern marketers now call immersive branding. The store itself became part of the product.
Looking back, Ralph Lauren wasn't just building a fashion company. He was building one of the earliest lifestyle ecosystems. Long before brands like Apple, Nike, or Supreme became masters of identity-driven marketing, Ralph Lauren had already demonstrated the principle. A great brand doesn't merely satisfy a need. It satisfies an aspiration.
It feels so personal.
Products become symbols. Symbols become identity. Identity builds community. And community creates lasting loyalty. This is why the strongest brands rarely compete on features alone. They compete on meaning.
Perhaps the greatest irony is this. The young man who grew up far from America's elite circles eventually became one of the people who defined their visual identity. Today, Ralph Lauren spans fashion, fragrances, home collections, restaurants, and thousands of retail locations around the world. The lifestyle he once admired from a distance eventually became his own reality. Classic automobiles, historic ranches, luxury estates. Decades earlier, those dreams existed only in his imagination. Business transformed aspiration into reality. And that's the extraordinary power of branding when it's built with consistency over time.
In the end, Ralph Lauren's greatest creation was never a polo shirt. It was a story that allowed millions of ordinary people to feel connected to something timeless, elegant, and aspirational. Because in business, products may attract attention, but stories create emotional ownership. The brands that survive for generations don't simply manufacture better products, they create better meanings. So the next time you see a small embroidered polo player on someone's shirt, remember, you're not looking at a logo. You're looking at decades of storytelling, identity, aspiration, and brand equity woven into a single symbol. Because in the world of capital, the most valuable assets are often the ones you cannot touch. This is the Capital Code.